Welcome to the wonderful world of dance, bringing you exclusive interviews with top dancers and choreographers and reviews of the world's best companies across the globe. You can find lots more on our website at thewonderfulworldofdance.com.
Hi, this is Savannah Saunders from The Wonderful World of Dance, and today I'm pleased to introduce Ruby Portus, dancer and choreographer and one of Sadler's Wells Theatre's young associates. Ruby is originally from Bristol and is down in London preparing for her upcoming show at Sadler's Wells. So let's learn all about what it means to be a young associate. Hi, Ruby.
Hello. Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us from your hotel room.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So tell us about Sadler's Wells Young Associates, the program.
Yeah, so the Young Associates program is a 2-year choreographic development program aimed at emerging choreographers. So people who have recently graduated dance training. And it's a 2-year program led by Tim Casson, dance artist and choreographer. And it kind of involves a mix of things. There are 4 of us on the program, and we come together every so often, like every month or two, to have kind of intensive workshop weekends where we work with different people from the field. So that might be like choreographers, dramaturgs, producers, people who work for like Arts Council England, so funding side of things. And that's kind of like the professional development side. And then across the 2 years, we have 2 commissioned works. So we had one last October at Sadler's Wells in their studio theatre. And then at the moment, we're working on the final commission, which is on the main stage. So, yeah.
That's very exciting. So how did you become involved as a young associate?
Sadler's Wells asked, alongside the kind of application process, Sadler's Wells asked various conservatoires, like dance conservatoires across the UK, to nominate 2 of their students. So I trained at London Contemporary Dance School, and I was one of the 2 that they nominated. So then that put us, we were put into like the first round of the kind of selection process, which was a week-long kind of choreographic. It was kind of like a week to play. We were working with different choreographers, learning about how they work, and making little scratch pieces and just kind of playing. And then they reduced the number of us after that week.
Okay.
And then we each had to make a short, like 5 to 10 minute piece to be shared, like a private sharing at Sadler's, after which they chose 4 of us. So that's how we...
Very exciting. So you were nominated by London Contemporary Dance School, but what inspired you as a person to apply in the first place?
Yeah, I guess primarily I'm a dancer and performer, but I've always enjoyed creating as well. So throughout my time at London Contemporary Dance School, there were opportunities to kind of make informal pieces for like student sharings and stuff like that. And I actually surprised myself in being interested in that, because before I went there, I kind of thought I hated creating. And then I just kind of got involved in that quite a bit. And then I guess I just wanted to, push my skills further and see if it was something that I would like to take further. And luckily it is, so that's good.
Well, so you're about to showcase, I guess, your second piece, as you mentioned, which is the culmination of your 2 years. That's must be an exciting feeling for you to, get ready to present this. But I sort of want to go back a little bit further, sort of over the last 2 years, and find out sort of what has it meant for you as a choreographer, as an emerging voice, to be part of this program. What has it sort of meant for your career and for you? Yeah, I guess
it's just like an incredible opportunity. Like the resources we have access to is just like you can ask for much better, really. It's like you work closely with the team at Sadler's Wells, and they introduce you to all these like amazing artists, as I said, like working in all the different aspects of the industry. So immediately, like, your networks are just expanded straight away, and getting to work closely with those people as well. So you don't just meet them, but you work with them for a whole, like, couple of intensive days or something. And yeah, the chance to have 2 professionally produced shows at such an early stage of your career is just, like, amazing. Having a full, like, well, first of all, you're in Sadler's Wells as theatres that are just amazing, and then you have all the technical support, production support. It just enables you to really put your ideas in, like, really realise them. Yeah.
Well, tell me about the piece that you're going to be presenting then.
So the brief for this show has been created by Hetain Patel, who's also a dance artist, and part of the brief is that each of us 4 choreographers are making, instead of one 20-minute piece, which is kind of the classic mixed bill format, we're each making 2 10-ish minute pieces. So in the first half, you'll be able to see the first part from each choreographer, so there'll be 4 10-minute parts, and then after the interval you'll see the second part. So it's kind of to, like, engage the audience on, like, a journey throughout the show, which is really exciting. I've never worked to such a brief, but yeah. So the piece that I'm creating is called Portmanteau, and it's a how do I describe it? It's we're basically presenting a fantasy world called Portmanteau that is essentially a planet B for when the Earth descends into, like, we can't live there anymore because of the climate crisis, basically.
Post-apocalyptic, almost.
Yeah. And we kind of see this really almost garishly good place. It's, like, too good to be true, and it's like, we don't need to worry about the climate crisis anymore, because whatever happens to the world, we can just go to Portmanteau, it's fine.
Very utopian.
Yeah, exactly. So we're working with, like, utopia, dystopia, and all is not what it seems, basically.
And are your 2 pieces, are they connected? Are they 2 parts of one story, or? Yeah,
so the brief is to, instead of having kind of like Act 1, Act 2 chronologically, as you might see like a play or something, instead of that way of looking at it, it's we're encouraged to have 2 parts that look at the same thing but from 2 different perspectives. So obviously there are, like, tons of ways you could do that, just framing the same piece differently or completely having a whole other piece. And mine, I've ended up kind of having the first part, and then the second part has a lot of similar moments, and, like, it has some repetition from the first part, but is framed differently, and structured slightly differently, so we kind of feel the world in a different way.
You're obviously very young. It's very exciting to see a young female emerging choreographer being given, along with the other 3 amazing artists creators who have been given this platform, which I think is amazing, from Sadler's Wells. And for those listeners sort of around the world who don't know Sadler's Wells, when you come to London, basically you've got the big ballet houses. Of course you've got the Royal Ballet at the Royal Opera House, and you've got the English National that tours. But for contemporary dance, Sadler's Wells in London is truly the central stage. It is where all of the most incredible contemporary and other types of dance, modern, hip hop, flamenco, it comes to London. So if you want to see what is the best in dance, you come to Sadler's Wells when you're not going to see the big ballet companies. So it's, just to put it into context, this is such a huge opportunity, and so great that Sadler's Wells is promoting the voice and giving the opportunity to young emerging artists, which is amazing. But Ruby, your work tackles some very socio-political issues, which I read is in a playful way. So, what is sort of driving these choices that you're making in terms of, you know, the subject matter that you're tackling for your work?
So to date, most of my work has been pretty influenced by my experience as a woman in this world and things I want to change about that experience. And obviously I'm very aware that I'm a very privileged woman, I'm a white middle class woman, but obviously still there's a lot we want to change. So I mostly have worked with just women dancers as well. So yeah, that's been the main kind of focus the past few shows, is kind of exploring gender, exploring the women's experience, and kind of using the stage as a place to challenge expectations, and try and rewrite the book, provide some new ways to see women. And I really want my performance to feel really empowered on stage, and for that to then inspire people in the audience to kind of feel good and feel empowered. So this piece is actually less focused on that. It's obviously I'm always making my work through a feminist lens, and I have a really strong team of female dancers this time, and most of the creative team is also female, which I'm really excited about, and I feel I really care about that. But yeah, I also always want to work with the people I'm working with, so I don't want to make a piece about something they don't really care about. So we talked a lot in the start of this process about what is urgent for the dancers at this time, what do they feel strongly about right now,
and what were some of those things that they feel strongly about right now? What is urgent for them and for yourself?
The main thing that repeatedly came up, because I think it's just you can't avoid it at this point in the Earth's history, is the climate crisis.
Yeah.
How we feel sometimes quite kind of guilty, maybe is the word, about being in an arts industry where our work isn't directly impacting, we're not on a we're not, I don't know, campaigning or something. So it's how do we what can we do?
How do you use that platform, that voice?
Exactly. And especially this opportunity, which is so massive, it's a big platform, hopefully lots of people will come. It's I can't I got to use this opportunity to do something. So at first we were kind of oh, can we make a piece about the climate crisis? That's a bit potentially really cringy or just naive, but thought we'd give it a go in a kind of metaphorical way and see how it goes. I
think it's a really important subject matter, actually, and I think where dance can be used as a platform to inspire debate, thought, or to comment on current times, I think is very important. And I'm really interested in this, you're emerging, you're much younger than I am, you have a different perspective on the world from which no doubt I will, although we have this shared concern about the climate and this probably a shared feeling of lack of ability to change too much, but but I'm just wondering, you've got this subject matter, you've got your female dancers, and you're in the studio. What's your process looking like? How are you creating the work?
So at this point we kind of the pieces are there, they're just needing to be pushed and tweaked and stuff. But my process, I guess, to arrive at this point so far, it's very task based. It's a lot about the dancers' contributions, I think lots of dance is now, but I really feel I kind of feel guilty having my name on the piece, because I feel so much it just literally wouldn't happen without them and their brains and interests and their care as well. I often kind of set, to be honest, quite kind of random tasks at first to try and work out like where we all are. And like, for example, this project I'm working with 6 dancers, only 2 of which I've previously worked with. So there's 4 new people in the room. How do we bring them together? How do we find out like our different skill sets and how we can like merge it all? So, and then I think generally like we keep doing tasks, maybe we'll revisit tasks and push them in different directions. And somehow there's always a point where it kind of just starts to kind of go in a nice trajectory to where we want to go. I couldn't define it, but there's always a point where I'm like, oh, okay, this is where we're going now. We have this material. And then at that point I can kind of be more direct in kind of crafting where it goes after that. Yeah.
Sounds very interesting. And I was reading that your work has been described as dance theatre. So, and I guess that reflects your acting interests and experience as well as your dance training. Tell us about basically, you know, your own journey as a dancer and a creator. You've worked with such a wonderful range of companies and artists. So tell us a bit about that, about yourself.
Yeah, I guess so when I was growing up, I did kind of, I was in the young company at Bristol Vic where I grew up. So that was like, it started just like every Monday evening I go to like drama session. But actually it got really, really into it. And the Bristol Vic Young Company has quite a distinct style, I would say, at least it did when I was there, of using lots of movement as well as like traditional, conventional like acting. I don't think they have it anymore, but they used to have young company and then also dance theatre sessions. So it was kind of combining the two things. So I definitely, when I was kind of deciding, when I was 17, 18 kind of time, it's like deciding what you're going to do with your life. And I was like, I love acting. I also love dancing. I also love like biology. I was like, I don't know what to do. But I thought going into dance, I could really see myself training as a dancer and being able to use my theatrical interest as well. So I always, throughout training and beyond, I've always made sure I'm involved in like taking workshops with choreographers who make dance theatre work, physical theatre work. And I guess because that interest has always been there, I've always taken these workshops, chosen to work with those type of people, and then it's influenced kind of the type of work that I'm interested in making now.
I was reading that as sort of you were, as you mentioned, you did some acting with and training with the Bristol Vic Young Company, but also your dance interest at the National Youth Dance Company under the artistic direction of Akram Khan, which must have been a very interesting experience. Tell us a little bit about that.
So National Youth Dance Company, that was amazing because that was the first time I'd done very intensive like weeks of dancing before, like with the youth companies that I was involved in Bristol, but this is the first time that it was just much more intense. So like we would all congregate in London, rehearse together like 9 to 5, eat dinner together, then in the evenings would have kind of toolkit sessions where again different people might come in, speak to us about their practices, about auditioning for dance schools and stuff like this. So they were very intense days, and obviously working with like highly acclaimed choreographers like Akram Khan and his dancer Andrei Petrovic, who was the one who choreographed our piece. Is just an experience that not many young people get not many people get at all because they're so sought after and busy and famous and touring the world all the time. So it's amazing. And then so we had 4 intensive weeks of creating a piece. It was 20-minute piece, and there were 30 young dancers, and then we toured it across the UK in the summer time. So yeah, it was, I mean, as also the first experience of touring. And yeah, I think like I have a lot to thank that experience for, because I think just like confidence wise, you're just suddenly like, oh, maybe I can actually do this. So then when I auditioned for schools, I think I don't know if I would have got in if I hadn't done National Youth Dance Company. And I think a lot of us have said that as well, because just the intense experience and kind of professional-ish experience and confidence boost.
So what's next for you? You know, you've been through your training, you've got your MA, and you've got experience training with a couple of schools, and there's great training and experience that you've just talked about, and you're a young associate dancer and choreographer. But what does your future hold for you?
Good question. So I'm freelancing at the moment. So the Young Associates is just one of the things I'm doing. And so I've been working as a dancer performer for various other projects. So I'm still continuing to do that. But I've also actually just found out I've got my first ever grant from the Arts Council.
Oh, congratulations. They're so hard to come by.
I know, I'm absolutely shocked, but really excited. And it's just a research and development phase for now, but I'm also going to be in the work, so it's going to be me, two other dancers and myself. So it's kind of, I feel like this is a good next step because I want to perform more. I'm also enjoying creating, so I'm going to try and put the two together and create and be in it as well.
And have a dynamic career.
Yeah.
I mean, you are young, young female feminist, Linz, as we've just talked about. Thank goodness, we need more women like you. You're on this journey into this industry. This is going to be your career. Are there things that you would like to see changed, or what does it look like to you, and how would you like it to look?
The industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard one. Some days I'm like, this is so great, and other days I'm like, this industry, I'm tired. But I think there's just, I mean, as a performer, there's a lack of the type of work I want to be a performer in. Okay. I think.
What type of work would you like to see more available to you?
I'm trying to think of the word. I think just like work that is more politically driven. I just think there's lots of work that is really beautiful and like aesthetically pleasing, and that is like wholly valid in itself. But I just I want to have like raw, like passionate work that is challenging political issues that people feel really strongly about, because I do think the power of performance is really underestimated, and like you said earlier, is such a great tool to provoke discussion and then hopefully action, and that's what I'm trying to do with my work. So I kind of was like, well, there's not much work happening already like other people are doing that I want to be in, or if there is, it's really hard to get involved in as a performer, because it's like smaller. They work with the same dancers over and over. So that's why I'm kind of trying to make those projects happen myself now. And also, I mean, it's been a battle for a long time and it's getting a lot better, but I still get very passionate and angry about like gender stereotyping in dance and the classic gender roles. I'm just like, I get quite angry about that.
Can understand that.
I feel like our strength as women can be really underestimated, and just that's really unnecessary because we're strong.
That we are.
That's like a physical strength, but also like just even like work that is using kind of character work, or even abstract characters, like less defined characters. They're still, I think people are boxed into certain roles very quickly, and I think that's often. I I think it might often be to do with like time constraints, which is linked to funding. Like people only have 3 weeks to make. Oh, we can't take a risk exploring. You say, I don't know. That's a
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'd really like to change.
Yeah, well, let's hope that you, and I'm sure you will, continue in this incredible journey you're on, and you do make the impact and you do make the work that will stimulate debate and stimulate action and challenge those stereotypes and challenge the viewpoint that can often, set the work of dance. So I'm very excited for your future, most definitely. And I know you're just setting out. You're on your journey, but I think there will be potentially quite a lot of much younger dancers or young artists thinking, my gosh, I've never imagined someone, so young or, making work and getting these opportunities, and wow, maybe I could do that. Yeah. Like, wow, this is like someone who shows me that it can be done. But from your position where you are, what would you say to those younger dancers who are looking at you now or listening to you now and thinking, my goodness, I never imagined this was possible at such a young age? What advice would you give them?
Just keep doing what you want to do, because I think it's very easy to be swayed by what people think you should do. Whether that's like people trying to divert you away from the arts completely, or whether it's trying to kind of direct you to making or being a certain type of dancer or making a certain type of work. I think it's just really important to try different things, obviously, but stick to your guns, because I think often your intuition is actually very strong and a good thing to follow.
Well, that is great advice. Nothing like a strong young woman sticking to her guns and creating effective work. So, I hope it all goes well. Thank you very much. And for everyone listening, if you want to get some tickets for the show that's on the 17th of July, visit sadlerswells.com. But Ruby, for people to learn more about yourself, how do they follow you and where can they find out more?
A website is in the making, but not ready yet.
Okay.
But they can follow me on Instagram. It's just Ruby Portus Dance. That's probably the best place to follow me at the moment, I would say.
That's a great place. Yeah, absolutely. And then people can check out when your link is live on your profile.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ruby. Lovely to talk to you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget to subscribe. We've got some incredible interviews coming up with principal ballerinas and renowned choreographers. We love dance and ballet, and we hope you'll love us. Join us on Facebook and Twitter.